Get up out of your fucking chair
Jump on stage, get your show
right now.
Copenhagen, non-fiction, yo, top. Exploding space shuttle, eyes on his face. Mothership, alien sorceress. Soldier with the gas mask. Dead astronauts, pyramids, paradox, paranormal, paratrooper. Paralyze you with the Luger. Reagan youth to suicidal tendencies. Know your enemies. The future for treachery. The 21st century. Lethal weapons and ecstasy. Moving objects. Mentally, my concept. Confess to murder.
There's Kurtz right there.
With A-bite, sniff coke, slit throats, spit quotes. Expensive like mink coats. Why I'm so fucked up? Only my shrink knows. Dr. Tenenbaum, small guy with a big nose. I seen it all in my short life. Me and my peeps is all tripe. We ain't
let me let her in.
We fucking your wife. If it ain't weed in my blood, then it's dust in my pipe. If it ain't slugs in my guns, then it's blood in my knife. I put you to sleep. Now you just a cousin.
Kurtz is here. We were already jamming out. We'll let this song finish. You know how it goes on the Killstream.
Are you gonna play Diddy?
I'm unsuitable.
Well, if somebody will send in Diddy. Can't nobody stop my pride. Can't nobody hold me down. Oh no. Oh, sorry. Dude, I played going back to Cali to start the show, actually. Diddy doesn't sing it, but he has the intro in it. I feel like somebody has to send in some kind of Diddy song. But it's up to them. I actually have quite a few Diddy songs on my playlist. I didn't delete them.
No, I mean, when I was a teenager, it was like almost everything on MTV, every other video was one of those.
Bad Boy for Life. Also, Hate Me Now. What is the one he did the tribute to?
And then the remake.
Missing You. Yeah, Missing You. Yeah, that's one of the.
I really liked some of the collaborations with Biggie. I really liked, so of course, Hypnotized, but what were some of the others? Victory. I like that song, Victory.
Yeah.
All About the Benjamins. All About the Benjamins.
All About the Benjamins, baby. And then there's Coming Home. Although there's another version of that song where it's just like the female singing it. But then there's a version where Diddy's singing it. Skylar Grey is the female singing, by the way.
James Gartner sent $10 on Rumble.
Don't listen
to Rocky.
Don't listen to Rocky. Now, you might not be able to hear this one. Let me see. I wonder.
Don't listen to Rocky. What are you about to play?
It's Shane McGowan and the Popes, Victoria. Now, that's not Diddy. I wonder if you can hear it, though. Let me see.
I could hear earlier what you were playing.
Yeah. Through Power Chat, you can hear. For some reason, through this, you can't. I don't know why, but just pretend that you can, and I'll link it.
I could use my phone, dude. I could listen on my phone if it's important.
Well, you know, there goes the link, just in case. And then we'll get into the case. Diddy songs, all welcome.
Hold on a second. You're kind of going off there a little bit.
I did. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm good. I'm good now. I can hear you.
The ageless Colonel Kurtz. Did somebody call you? What did they say? I saw you talking to somebody and they're like, this young chick or this whatever. They said something to you on Twitter and you're like, wow, it's a nice compliment there. I appreciate that. Was that like 2 or 3 days ago? I saw that. I can't remember exactly the quote now.
Yeah. Hold on. I think I got a short. This is a horrible time for it to come up. I can hear what you're saying, sort of, but it's a little bit.
Yeah, because it's the songs playing through it.
No, it's not that. I got you. It's in the wiring. I've got a short in the wiring.
Oh, okay.
I hear you good now. Okay, so yes, so what you're talking about is that somebody accused me on TikTok. One of my commenters accused me of rambling too much, and they said the trouble with this young generation is they've all got ADHD.
And you're just like.
I know, dude. I'm literally almost 45.
Like, damn, like the young generation. Okay, thank you for that major compliment. I honestly still don't believe you. I think you're lying. There's no way. But okay. I already said you got to get your skincare routine like sold and marketed. That's where the real money is here.
I did a video. It's on my channel. I did a skincare video it was a live stream where I talked for an hour, and so I did share all my secrets there. But I tell you, the main thing, dude, is just sun avoidance.
Yes,
that is such a huge thing.
Sun avoidance, alcohol avoidance is a good thing too. But
cigarettes don't help with it.
Yeah, okay, all right, we're going too far. But
I hear Xanax is really good.
You know, I heard the same thing. Okay. But yeah, sun avoidance. I was told that when I was really young. Basically, stay out of the sun as much as you can, right? And these people who want the dark tan every year, they're going to look, all weathered and leathery when they're 50 versus the people who were responsible with their sun exposure. So, yes. Now, I'll let this play. It's got about a couple minutes. Think of your take. I'm interested. There's been new things coming out in the Diddy case today, the last couple days. I think they're kind of blowing it from what I've been reading, but we'll see. We'll see what you think.
Well, so, man, this whole thing is just so complicated and crazy. So there's sort of the level of public perception where I do think that they're kind of blowing it in a way to the extent.
Should we free Diddy?
Well, I'll explain in a minute. And then I said, then the other thing is, I do think there's also the legal letter of the law aspect. And I just had too many lawyers telling me that this is going to be a slam dunk for these heavy charges and that he's toast. So I got to figure the lawyers know better than I do.
Well, they don't always, but and I've seen Casey Anthony, I've seen O.J. Simpson.
That is true.
And this is a fake AI call, but it only takes one on that jury to get a mistrial, and of course they'll try him again, I'm sure, but. It only takes one. I wouldn't put it past Diddy to pass around a little cashola, perhaps. And the jury makeup, I don't know if you'd say it's favorable towards him, but it's not totally unfavorable.
No, I think that, so look.
And thank you, James, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, nobody has a good impression of this dude. We all know that he is a wife beater, girlfriend beater, whatever term you want to use. I don't know if he's reformed or not. The defense was suggesting that this was primarily when he was on drugs and withdrawing and all that. I don't know, right?
But didn't Cassie forgive him after that, though? And they had a loving relationship after that, and she wanted to freak off for life, is what she said.
Well, here's the thing, basically, is that despite us knowing that he was violent, very violent at times, and seeing that horrible hotel footage and stuff, the state is not trying him for domestic violence or battery.
Well, so to me, that shouldn't even be allowed in court, to be honest with you, because it has nothing to do with the charges. It's beyond the statute of limitations. It taints the jury pool.
So they claim that it proves that this was sex trafficking, because here's their argument, is that even though we see these texts where Cassie is saying, I can't wait for another freak off, and they're negotiating when, and he's like, do you want to do it then? Is this okay? And all that, even though we see
she was doing a freak off while she was talking to her future husband and canceled his FaceTime.
I know it's sordid, but the state is arguing that it was not consensual sex. It was sex trafficking, these freak offs and stuff that they were doing with escorts because of the domestic violence. In other words, this woman was living under such a climate of fear. I'm just telling you their argument. It works with a lot of people, that this woman was living under such a climate of fear because of the abuse that she basically had no agency. Now, the other thing you have to remember too is, even if it was consensual, they still have him on just basic sex trafficking prostitution, because there's no doubt that these escorts, they were hired to do sex stuff. And so here's where people
those are weak charges, though, right? Just hiring a prostitute is not.
Well, sex trafficking. And so sex trafficking doesn't have to be consensual. And so this is where the lawyers come in, because I talked to a lawyer the other day on my show, and I said, man, the state's case looks on these charges that they're pursuing, it looks really weak. And the lawyer said to me, actually, this, in my opinion, is almost a slam dunk, because all you have to show to get hit really hard with these charges, these sex trafficking RICO charges, is that there was a commercial sex act and things like crossing state lines and stuff. They hired an escort to fly into Miami or whatever. And so it appears that the laws are just really fucking strict on prostitution.
So what I've read about her testimony, and it's I haven't followed the last day or two. Her testimony, I don't think she was a very good witness, to be honest with you. And some of it, I can strike a chord.
What did you have? What was your biggest issue? Or
it's just back and forth. First off, if a woman tells you she wants to be your freak for life, don't believe her. I'll just tell you from experience. and not necessarily a freak off. But if she says she wants to be down, be a freak for life, she's lying probably. And so, you know, she might say whatever. I've heard it all from a certain party. I won't name any names, but so don't believe that, first thing. But she's all over the place with what she's saying. She's actually, her husband's in the courtroom. She's participating in a freak off. I believe she denied his FaceTime call while she was getting freaked off. Right? She literally said, "Not one more freak off. I want freak offs for the rest of my life." Is what she said. Now people can say Stockholm syndrome. They can say whatever. I say slut. Now, you know, maybe that's like out of bounds. I don't know, but now,
well, I would not. Maybe there's a way that that we could rephrase that. I would say I would say consensual is what I'm seeing in a lot of it.
yes,
Yes, but your word.
yeah.
Well, let's do this too. Let me add one more thing quickly. This is someone who seems, in a lot of the evidence that we're seeing, not just textual but testimonial, that she was into freaky stuff.
Yes.
One of the escorts testified that it was her
who wanted to be pissed on.
to do
Yes.
the pissing in the mouth.
By the way, again, not to name any names, but that is a phenomenon that some women are into, is all I'll say. And, you know, not to, you know, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying if a woman tells you they want you to piss in their mouth, not that it's happened to me, not that I could name a person who actually told me to do something like that, you know, you're like, okay. I mean, it's bizarre. It wasn't something that I would be into, of course, but you know, freaky bitch says piss in her mouth. I mean,
and this escort, by the way, who testified to this, he said that, you know, not only, and he had said this in a prior deposition, that not only was it her idea, but that she actually gave him instruction because he was doing it apparently too much. And so she was like, no, you just want to do a trickle. You don't want the whole like thing coming into my mouth and all that. And look, I know there are people who are going to say that, well, that was just at the direction of Sean Combs and she just was doing that to please him. Maybe, maybe not. But what about reasonable doubt? We've got her on all of these texts showing complete consensuality, I would say, on the freak offs, on the sex stuff, on the escorts. She's also a co-conspirator. You know, I'm sure that the state threatened her told her, we're going to prosecute you as a co-conspirator on this because she was doing a lot of the hiring. She was actually kind of a point person in a lot of ways.
A Ghislaine Maxwell almost, if you want to, I mean, without minors involved.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
She was coordinating all this, seemed to be a very willing participant, let's say. And also, she had Diddy on all this for over a decade, right? And she didn't, you know, there's some stuff in the media that she didn't come through with that lawsuit until she was basically broke. And
right. So their relationship had experienced closure, if you want to use that term, in the sense that there are texts showing them saying nice things about each other. I'll always cherish our time, and he says likewise. And there was a big break where she ended up then with her husband, right? She left Diddy for her husband, left Sean Combs for her husband, but then she and her husband married, had kids. And so the point I think you're trying to make is that there was really a long time here where she sat on this thing, and then it seems like then when she was broke,
yes,
and then you get this lawsuit and so forth. Now, the other thing I want to say too is I do think things are going to turn pretty negatively tomorrow for Diddy if Kid Cudi testifies, because supposedly he's going to testify that that Sean Combs had his car blown up. Now that's going to look really awful to a lot of people, including me. Like, what the hell, dude? What the fuck? But we'll see what happens, because Cudi was supposed to testify today and he didn't. He backed out at the last minute. So I don't know what's going on there, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, the rumor is he had his car blown up, and it's alleged, I think, in the court documents, not a rumor. How could he get out of that testimony? I believe he's subpoenaed, right? Like, I don't know.
Assume, yeah. No, I mean, well, he is. Yeah, I would assume he can't get out of it. And of course, we're going to find out, I guess, more tomorrow about verifying that this happened. I don't know if this was reported to police or what have you. And you think about these rappers and the rap culture in the 90s and the early 2000s. There was a lot of crazy stuff and crazy playing around, so to speak, going on with these guys. I mean, a number of them ended up dead or in prison, as you know. Tupac died, was shot. Suge Knight,
Big L, Suge Knight's in prison for life. Yeah.
So it's a rough life. It's an edgy life. And it may just be that this is basically karma or the life catching up with Sean Combs here. So I'm not out here trying to say free Diddy or this guy's a saint or even that this is another Johnny Depp or Marilyn Manson or whatever. Like, this guy he has done some shit and he probably deserves some time in prison or whatever. But I just think the state, from a libertarian perspective, I think the state has gone way overboard with all of the racketeering and
RICO is such a bullshit thing in the first place. Don't get me started, but they made up that law to take out the mob is what they did. And so it's total bullshit all the way around. RICO is the most, I don't know how I could preach on
No,
that
and
forever.
so many people agree with you. And if there's something positive to come from this trial, I think that hopefully it will open more people's eyes. Whatever people think of Sean Combs or what should happen to him, it'll open their eyes to how crazy some of these laws and these sentences are. I thought
I wonder if Cassie had her eyes open or closed when certain things were going on. But anyway, sorry, I couldn't resist that joke. Go ahead. Probably closed, I'd have to guess. But
oh my gosh! So I was just saying though. I don't even know what I was saying now.
No, you said eyes. It's going to open some eyes, is what you said.
Yeah, well, just to, I mean, some of these laws, I thought that sex trafficking meant that you had a situation where someone kidnaps someone else and then forces them to sexually service someone else for money. I didn't know we were talking about a situation where a boyfriend and a girlfriend hire some escorts for their own pleasure, and then that's turned into a multi-decade RICO sex trafficking charge. It just seems extreme.
Well, and the time, and again, I'm not sitting here saying Diddy's a good guy. We saw the tape, but she also went back to him after the tape. She didn't file charges. She did just get, I believe last week, a $10 million settlement from the Intercontinental Hotel. So she's made $30 million off all this. It's hard for me to feel sorry for somebody who's, not that she didn't go through some shit, but she was a willing participant in most of that shit, and she got paid $30 million. And I'm not really interested in a sob story from a woman who said she wanted to be part of a freak off for life, right? Yeah. And so maybe that's my king misogyny coming into play there. I don't know, but she made $30 million. That could definitely ease a lot of my pain, right? And she just got that other 10 million. They forced her to admit that on the stand. She just got another 10 million on top of the 20 from Diddy. By the way, Diddy totally fucked up. I will say this. He should have paid her immediately.
Oh, good. I'm going to plug in my computer. Keep going. I'm listening.
Yeah. You talk about all-time fuck-ups of the century. She came out and leaked it all to the New York Times, the newspaper of record, as they call it. And it was a really bad look. And he came out and tried to deny it and this and that. What he should have done was just pay her whatever the fuck she wanted, and he probably wouldn't be on trial right now if he would have just done that. And he's so used to being Diddy, and I don't have to do this. I can get out of this. Well, he didn't. And so that's one thing where I look at from a human perspective, like, wow, what a mistake that was.
I was talking about this the other day. There are two huge mistakes that people that I've covered have made, and it's him and it's Blake Lively. He should have paid Cassie off, and none of this. Yes, he would still be living his high life. And same thing with Blake Lively, by the way. If she and Ryan Reynolds hadn't started all this shit for no good reason, they'd be continuing on, rich, fresh off this huge victory of It Ends With Us being a huge hit, hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, so it's really interesting when their narcissism gets to the point where they're making these kinds of unforced errors. Interesting.
Yeah, and it really, I think it was narcissism to think. I mean, she obviously had the goods on him. Now, maybe he thought, like we were saying, she participated in all this. There's no way this could pass. But you also have to look at it from an optic standpoint, and people are always going to And I don't know if he knew that video was out there or whatever. You know, they can even have audio of things.
You should always assume the video is going to be out there. I don't care how much fucking money he paid that hotel to suppress it or destroy it.
Somebody save that for blackmail. Yeah, there's just no way, right? So I agree, but like it doesn't even have to be video. Speaking from experience, you know, there can just people are more sympathetic to what they assume is a female that's been put through distress. Sure. And that's men and women for the most part. There's a certain demographic of men, you know, I say fuck a bitch, whatever. But for the most part, it's like 70, 80% against. And that was very violent footage. But, you know, a friend of mine, I'll say, even just had audio put out and nothing even happens in what took place. But
he had audio put out of what?
Well, I won't go through the whole thing, but you know, doesn't sound great, but people extrapolate, and they're like, "Well, this person was put through hell," and da 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 da. And this wasn't even just audio. This was him like dragging her by the hair of her head through the fucking Intercontinental Hotel, and you know, I think he threw a vase at her head. He beat the shit out of her, and so. It was the height of arrogance to just not pay her the money. And I still think if he would have done that he wouldn't be on trial right now. It was
so arrogant. Now, this is what I wonder. Apparently, and this was verified in court, he was offered, Sean Combs was offered a plea by the state. Now, nobody knows how much, but he turned that down.
I heard 10 years, but I don't know if that's true. I heard it might have been 20, but I thought I heard 10 years. But
yeah. But here's the thing, though. I mean, he must have some belief that he can beat this, or he can get a mistrial, unless he's just got like a fuck you attitude, like I'm going to go out on my feet, which maybe he does. But
pop back in. Yeah, you're back. Sorry. You're back. No, you're back.
Anyway, I'm just saying it's interesting. He didn't take the plea.
Well, I mean, the thing about a 10-year plea for a federal, I say this all the time. Federal is different from state. Now, this New York state charge, you know, a 10-year plea, he does 5 probably or 6, and he's out. And you definitely take that. You'd be a fool not to. A 10-year federal plea, you're serving.
I'm gonna go away and come back.
Okay, yeah, go away and come back. But a 10-year federal plea, you're serving 8.5 years, guaranteed, no parole, heavy sanctions. It's a totally different system. Not necessarily that the jail's worse. Jail might actually be nicer than a state prison, but you know, places like Maryland and Virginia, not Virginia, but Maryland and what's the other state that? The Delaware, literally in Maryland, I think you serve 55% of your time. I was just saying, literally in Maryland, some of these states, Colonel Kurtz, you serve like 55% of your time, and that's not how it works in federal prison. You serve 85% of your time, and you do not get parole. There's no parole in the federal system either. So. I don't know. I still think 10 years may have been if that's what was offered. I read that. That's unverified. But I maybe would have considered taking the 10 because
that's all he was offered. I would have. I don't know if you can see me or hear me.
I can see you, but like it's breaking up. I don't know if it's your signal. Maybe, you know what? I'll refresh myself and we'll see. Back in. If it was 10, I probably would have taken that because now he's looking at 20 or 30. And like maybe never seeing the light of day. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Google Meet this week. Like it's like fucking stabbing me in the back. What do you mean I'll be able to join in a moment? It's my fucking meeting. What in the fuck? Okay. We'll get Colonel Kurtz back here momentarily. Let me join my own meeting, you fucking piece of shit. God, I love Google. Did I ever tell you guys that? If I had Diddy money, I'd fight to the bitter end. Well, dude, federal prosecutors don't usually lose. That's the thing. Camera starting. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm back now. All right, now it's all good. Somebody said if I had Diddy money, I'd fight to the bitter end. Well, the problem is federal prosecutors and the stats vary, but it's like 98.9 or higher percent conviction rate. And you can win. It does happen, but it's like 1 in 10, less than that, really. Chance that you're gonna win. And I don't think Cassie looked the best. But the Cassie is not all they have, like you've been talking about. And to me, hiring a hooker is not sex trafficking. That's ridiculous, in my opinion.
For the government, it is, though.
Yeah, but that's stupid. Isn't that crazy? Is it like, I mean, what is that? Like, now if you have an operation where you are selling vast amounts of pussy yourself and you're shipping them around,
show that it's benefiting your enterprise, though, because
how is that?
Yeah, you don't have to. All you have to show as part to meet the enterprise criteria, the criminal enterprise criteria, is you have to show that there were other people involved in this and that it had some kind of transactional aspect. In other words, I had my assistant who also worked at Bad Boy come in and deal with Cassie.
And his assistant turned on him, by the way.
I think whatever, or get the baby oil heated or whatever,
I just don't. So to me, sex trafficking is, say I wanted to be a pimp. A legit pimp, and I had a whole stable of hoes, right? I had 50 hoes, 100 hoes, and I was shipping them all over the US or Mexico or the world or whatever. That's sex trafficking. Now, say I was just procuring hoes, and I procured 50, 100 hoes, however many over a course of time. Not that I would ever do that, but say that had happened. That's not sex trafficking. That's just hiring whores.
No, legally.
So what makes it that? If I just made the call myself, or does there have to be a conspiracy to do it? Do I have to have other people involved in setting it up?
Okay, so there's two different things we're talking about here. One would be sex trafficking, and another would be criminal enterprise, the RICO thing.
Yes.
So let me. The sex trafficking part just means that you paid someone to engage in sexual activities, some kind of and that trafficking is in, like, you brought them to your house or they came to your house. Like, it literally, it doesn't. I know. I thought it meant like you got someone bound up in the back of a truck or something. It doesn't have to mean that. And I think what a lot of people are going to realize with this trial is, wow, these laws are a lot more expansive and they're a lot more hardcore than we realized, and they're catching a lot of people in a net. For instance, this lawyer that I was talking to on my show, I talked to a couple lawyers for an hour and a half the other night on my show. It's called Nate the Lawyer, if you check out his channel. But anyway, he was telling me about how he sees cases like this all the time, where you've got a girlfriend and a boyfriend, or a husband and a wife, and there's some domestic violence, and the husband and the wife do some sexual stuff, and it gets pinned on him as sex trafficking. I mean, so apparently this happens a lot.
That's scary, let's just say. I can see that being scary to some folks. And
it's scary to me, not because I'm getting hookers with my guy, but because I don't like seeing people. I'm a libertarian. I don't like seeing people get in trouble for consensual activity. So to me, that's why the thing I keep harping on with this Diddy trial is, yes, the domestic violence, the battery is bad. He should be punished for that. But this other stuff, do we really want to send the guy away for life for mostly consensual escort activity? Maybe a little arson with the car blowing up or whatever. I mean, if you got to get him for 5 years or whatever on that, fine. But a lot of this stuff to me is just BS.
Well, I agree. How do you say? Of course, there's a lot of trial still to come, and defense is going to get to present their case.
I mean, so it's a 6 to 8 week trial. I guess the judge is going to give them all the way to the 8 week. That's the upper boundary. But we still have to do the defense, and then there still has to be the closing statements. And so, and I think the prosecution gets a redirect too, right? So actually, in terms of the prosecution's case, we're almost halfway. They've highlighted the rest of the case. It looks like it's going to be more escorts, talking about, these freak offs, and then maybe a little more on the money end. I got this guy to pay this guy or whatever. To me, the big thing that's left that could really hurt him is the Kid Cudi car testimony, if that comes tomorrow. But this case is almost wrapped up. And there's one more point I want to make too. I'm not just judging this for what we're seeing in this case. I have been talking about how irritated I've been, annoyed I've been at the public hysteria over P. Diddy, over Sean Combs, where people are saying, oh, he's trafficking kids and he's drugging people and he's surveilling people against their knowledge and he killed Kim Porter and all of this. And there turns out there was no evidence for any of this. The state has thoroughly investigated him. You're not going to see any of that coming up in trial. So I just want to say to people, it's been ridiculous how some of y'all have lost your minds with all of these Puff Daddy fantasies about him being like the worst guy in Hollywood. And it's just not turned out to be true. So I hope like the next time we have a situation like this, people don't just lose their minds in rumors, because there was Justin Bieber had to come out a few days ago and officially say, I was not a victim of his man, because so many people were making assumptions about it.
Well, yeah, and they had said he'd been raped and Diddy did all this and all that. And, there are some, creepish videos out there, but I ain't gonna lie, I saw those same videos, but not sexual videos, but like, you saw the videos too, right? I know what you mean. It's like, okay, that's a little weird. And Usher, was hanging out. He was his guardian too when he was a teenager and stuff, but, there's also other explanations for that too, right? He wants these musical talents under his wing, right? So he can exploit them for money.
Exactly. And I do think that there's real mentorship and friendship that goes on with some of these people. I mean, Ashton Kutcher, everybody seems to have forgotten that Ashton Kutcher was Diddy's self-proclaimed best friend right up until he met Demi Moore. Well, Ashton Kutcher, I have a hard time believing that he's hanging around seeing Diddy, committing all these crimes and stuff. So I think there are actually probably a number of people in Hollywood who know that this stuff has been overblown,
sure.
but because of that hotel video, and the horrible stuff that we have learned about the domestic violence and stuff, nobody's going to stick up for him. So this is really honestly about as edgy in terms of like the stuff I cover on my YouTube channel. This is as close to the edge as I've ever gotten in terms of partially defending someone who's really a bad guy, because the other guys that I've defended are totally innocent. It turns out in their private lives, they're really good guys, right? This is something where I admit he's done some monstrous shitty stuff, but I just think the way the government is handling this is terrible from a libertarian perspective.
Do you know what Ashton Kutcher's big thing used to be? I think you might.
Right? Punked?
No, like his big charity cause, the thing he wanted to stamp out.
Oh, it was sex trafficking, wasn't it? I forgot about that.
It was sex trafficking, yes. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Like,
let me tell you one more thing you can't make up. All right, your audience will get a laugh out of this. So one of the escorts who testified yesterday in the Sean Combs trial, he testified that he had erectile dysfunction issues. This isn't the funny part, by the way, but he testified that he had erectile dysfunction issues in front of Cassie and Diddy, and he felt bad because he felt like he kind of let them down. Get this guy, this came out in court. He is currently writing a book about erectile dysfunction, and he's going to have a big fat chapter in there, of course, you guessed it, about Diddy and Cassie.
Well, because that's the only reason anybody would want to read it. What the fuck? Like, I mean,
so it's just like almost like the OJ trial, where you got all of these witnesses now.
Kato's writing a book. Yeah, like, okay. I think didn't Judge Ito write a book too? I think everybody involved in the fucking trial wrote a book. That's what I was raised on, the OJ trial. You two, we're about in the same age bracket, but I watched the OJ trial avidly. I should not have been doing that.
I did too. I remember I would tape it too. That was back when we had the
I had to go to school.
VHS.
Yeah, so I had to go to school. So when I would come home, I would have it taped, and it was so big. I was a super soap opera fan too, but they canceled soap operas for like a year and a half. Just so they could show OJ, because this was the biggest soap opera possible.
Right. I guess that makes sense.
And the soap opera, soap opera industry never really fully recovered from that, because it's a habitual thing, right? Serialized show, and so they suspended soap operas for about a year, or however long the trial was. I think about a year and a half. And I was voraciously, of course, he was indicted in 94. The verdict was October 95. I watched that every day during the summer. When I'd come home from school, I'd turn on Hard Copy. I'd turn on A Current Affair. Like
every day. We were just as nerdy. We didn't have social lives. It sounds
right. Yes. I'm watching Hard Copy, by the way, and I've talked about Hard Copy on this show all the time. For people to understand, like, this was like hardcore shit in the middle of the afternoon, just like crazy shit. And then at night it would be CNN and Larry King, and that's all it would be. OJ 24/7. 365 until the case, and I voraciously, and I love my parents, RIP. Maybe I shouldn't have been 9, 10 years old, probably watching all this, but I was, and so is the whole country, though.
That's true.
And I was in the 4th grade. I told this story so many times. I was pro OJ, by the way, and they rolled the TV into this. Somebody tried to say I lied about this. I'm not lying at all. They rolled a TV in because they heard the verdict was coming in. The 4th grade teacher rolled the TV into the room so we could all watch it, and we set all the chairs in a row, and we were in the 4th grade. And at first, there were like 2 or 3 guys who were like, OJ didn't do it. And by the end, it was just me saying, nah, free OJ. And I actually thought he was going to be found guilty, right? Mm-hmm. And so, of course, he wasn't. And I jumped up out of my chair and was just like, yeah. I was like, yeah. Like, I cheered like my team just won the Super Bowl. And they're like little girls in class crying. They like couldn't believe it. They're like losing their minds. And I'm just like laughing my head off. Like, holy shit. Like, we did it.
This like tribal thing. And it did have a racial aspect, but it wasn't just black and white. It was like,
my thing was,
made that
go ahead. Give your take. Because it wasn't racial for me. Because obviously I'm white. It was more fuck the police. And they completely botched the case. And they're carrying the blood around in their pocket all day.
That's the thing is like I think that he was guilty, and I think that the DNA shows that, but also like that there were reasons for the jury to distrust the prosecution. They did have major issues with the collection of that DNA, right? And so it's interesting. But I was going to say that I think part of what made that such a phenomenon too is that it wasn't like today where we have so much media at our disposal. Right. Back then, it was just the TV. Yes. It was the TV and the radio, and that was it. And even the TV was very limited. You had basic cable with stuff like CNN and maybe 20, 30 other channels, and then you had the network TV, 4 channels or whatever. And so what that meant is not only that there was constant OJ coverage, but that you really were sort of forced to watch it in a way.
Yeah, you could never we can never experience anything like that again because everything's so siloed off. You don't have to watch anything you don't want to watch anymore. You can just watch at all times. You can just watch everything you want to watch, right? And it was a nationwide experience. There's still certain events, like the Super Bowl, I guess, and certain things that most everybody watch to a certain extent. But like that experience where everybody was following it, and I'm talking about the minutia of the case too, and arguing about the bloody gloves.
Even if you were just watching like a late night comedy program like Jay Leno or something, they were doing it every night.
The Dancing Edos, I was watching it. I was watching it, man. And it was like a nationwide phenomenon that I don't think could exist like that anymore. It was just something. It's just hard to.
I actually think that the Johnny Depp.
That's probably the closest.
Came the closest. Yeah. So, and I think until that is supplanted by something else, that's going to be sort of the standard when people talk about the trial of the century. At least for a while, that was really. But it wasn't on the same level. There's nothing like OJ. You're right.
Well, and OJ created the 24/7 media environment that we still live in. That basically it changed the entire culture in a way that can never go back. There used to be a break, believe it or not, right? Like, okay, after 10 p.m. or whatever, 9 p.m., there wasn't really any news print, right? But OJ was 24/7. It changed the whole, and this was even before social media. And then when social media came, it just sent that into overdrive, right? But it totally changed the nation. If you've never seen The People versus OJ Simpson, the miniseries, I would highly recommend it. One of the best things ever put on television.
That's great. The ESPN, the ESPN documentary series is right up there too.
Amazing. And that's what I said was a fictionalized version, but the ESPN documentary. Cuba Gooding. You wouldn't really think he would do a great OJ, but he did. And Travolta, the whole cast, honestly, was great. But yeah, the ESPN documentary should be watched as well. I'm not black, I'm OJ. That made me think of the Jay-Z lyric too. That's something separate. But so which way is it going to go?
So I think that the best that Sean Combs can hope for is a mistrial with 1 or 2 jurors who think like I do. But is that likely? I don't know. I think I'm going to have too many smart lawyers telling me that this thing is more or less a slam dunk for the state. Now, I'm with you also. There can be surprises and stuff. So if you ask me, I would say 60-40 that he gets convicted on a lot of stuff. Did you hear that?
Also, yeah, I'm hearing my phone ring. But let me go ahead and hang that up. But go ahead, repeat what you just said.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just saying, I think 60-40. I'm 60-40 that he does get found guilty to a significant prison sentence. But 40%, I would say that he gets a mistrial. That's the best he can hope for, is that there are one or two jurors who feel like I feel or inclined like I'm inclined. Now, still, there's a lot of trial to go, and I might change my mind. And like I said, tomorrow, it's a big deal if he's out there blowing up cars, right? So again, I'm not trying to commit totally, but I am saying that, like, up to this point, you might have one or two jurors who are sticking. But I think he's in some trouble. But I have been telling people, don't be shocked if he gets off, because if I'm having these issues, then I'm sure that the jurors, some of the jurors at least, are contemplating these similar problems.
I think it's 60-40 as well. And I think, I mean, as far as a full acquittal, that would be on the level of OJ, honestly. That would be OJ level if he got that. So I have a hard time seeing that. But if he was able to get one or two, he only needs one or two on that jury to say, you know what, fuck the police, fuck this. I heard a horror once in a while too. Who cares? It only takes that. And if he's able to get a mistrial, there's no telling how much the government is spending on prosecuting this case. I would imagine it's 10, 20, $30 million.
I guess you know that James Comey's daughter is leading up the prosecution. Huh?
Yeah. That doesn't inspire confidence in the case. And also, isn't Garagos' daughter his lawyer?
She's leading up the defense. Yeah,
she's a killer, by the way.
Like political nepo baby.
Sick $10 free, Diddy.
What do we got here?
I like that.
But yes, Garagos' lawyer is a shark, by the way. I mean, his daughter is a shark, by the way. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I'll let this play, and then I didn't know. We got a lot of nepotism involved in this case, and I was like, Garagos, that's got to be his daughter, right? And sure enough, it is. She's very stylish, by the way. I'm looking at some of her photographs here.
Well, and then another lawyer working for him for Combs, Mark Agnifilo, his wife is defending Luigi.
Really? Oh yeah, I did. Oh, I did see that actually. Yeah. Also, this is lower for some reason. I don't know why. But I'll replay it after. And you can hear it though, right?
I can hear it, yeah.
Okay, all right. But it is turned down. I don't know why. I'm trying to think. So we talked about Diddy. We'll see what Cuddy's got to say tomorrow. I don't see how he can get out testifying. There's no way. But what's else on your radar? Do you think? To me, it's only a matter of time before they try to put Ye in jail as well for something. I don't know if you're like on that or not, but like it just seems like he's pushing some buttons here where they're gonna try to find some reason to put him in jail soon. Am I wrong to think that?
He definitely is pushing buttons. I just hope he's not pushing.
He's pushing the Ye button. That's what they call it. But
can I just say on the topic of Ye, I have a theory on what he was trying to do with the Cassie hotel beating merch. Do you remember when he was doing that?
Yeah, I do actually. I wish I would have copped one.
So look, I don't know. I might be giving him too much credit, but I do think that Ye has a certain sort of like a subconscious like intelligence about like manipulating the culture, whatever. I think he was trying to help Sean Combs, right? And I just wonder if he did that whole hotel beating merch thing because he was trying to get us to like laugh at the situation. Because if you're laughing at it, then that's the first step in kind of desensitizing you to it. Like, do you think he thinks on that level, or what is he trying to do with the Cassie merch? Because it just came off so bad.
Well, he's a major troll for one thing, so I think that's one thought. Also, he did the Sean John. That was a legit Sean John collaboration with Yeezy. Those shirts So I
With Sean Combs?
I would wear that one. I wouldn't wear the Cassie one out in public, but I might wear the Sean John one. I couldn't wear the Cassie one out. That's too much. But he did a legit collaboration with the Sean John on one side and like a Yeezy logo on the back.
I know. I think he's trying to help him, but I don't
know if he did help him or not. But yeah, I think he did. I think he was trying to help. But I do wonder, like, he's putting out some songs here. What do you think of his overall strategy? He was instrumental in helping Marilyn Manson, actually. And I pulled up an article from the other day, and it was about, I think it was the original Donda album, not Donda 2. And they gave it a 0 out of 5 stars. And one of the main reasons they gave it 0 out of 5 was because of Marilyn Manson being involved.
I remember that. He took a stand for him. I don't know if I would say he was instrumental, but I will say
yeah.
But I will say though, he took a stand for him, and Marilyn Manson was totally radioactive, and when the word on his innocence had not gotten out, and what Evan Rachel Wood did and all that. So I'll say this, like, Kanye has a lot of guts to stand up for people, whether we're talking Manson, who was innocent, or even Diddy, who's not so innocent, but whatever, but standing up for people. And I do respect that. Kanye, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just like, what the fuck, but he's his friends.
So you're not bumping the Cousins song or the HH or anything like that?
Well, I mean, it's catchy.
It is catchy. That's the first thing I said. They're like, "Oh, this song, you gotta hate this song." I'm like, "It's catchy, dude." Like, if they let
I have it in my head for like 3 days. I'm not lying. And I didn't even like purchase it. I only watched the video like once or twice, but it was in my head for 2 days. That
like, it's bumping. Like, if they let that go on Spotify, I said this 3 or 4 times already on the show. If they let that go on Spotify and Apple Music, it'd be the #1 song in the country. Like, I have no doubt about it. And it's not because like it's like lyrically complex or anything, but it's just catchy, and
it's catchy.
It's catchy, it's edgy, and the beat's fire, and like I have no doubt that'd be the #1 song in the country, and that's why they had to stop it. And I think people also really don't understand. I know we're getting off topic from Diddy, but like I he's trolling, right? And it's like
the dentist video that you told me. I hadn't seen the dentist video until you told me about it, with where he's in the dentist chair and he's obviously high on nitrous and stuff. I mean, total trolling. Yeah.
He's very high on nitrous. But it's like, it's not about the hiling, right? It's like, oh, this is what they're saying about me. This is how they've done me. Fuck it. HH, right? And so I think it's more of, they won't let me see my kids. They taking my wealth away. And believe me, I understand being stuck in family court hell and all this stuff. And it can really just make you say, fuck it. Like, I don't give a shit. And he's rich enough to have fuck you money and to actually, go all out with it. And so I think, it's kind of a meme song, really, in my opinion, right? And it's like, okay, where were all my friends? He turned on Jay-Z, but did he really? In his mind, these people turned on him. Where were they when he was trying to see his kids? Where were all these connections, all these people he put on, all these careers he made? They left him for dead because he got too controversial or whatever. And he did so much for all these people, Jay-Z in particular. And now, should he have called Jay-Z's kids retarded and all that? I don't know. Maybe that was a little too much. And then he showed pictures of them and literally said they look retarded. Okay, that was probably a little too much. But you could understand why he might feel that way, though, right? Like, it's like all these famous people I put on. Kid Cudi's one of those people, by the way.
With Kid Cudi too?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, okay. He's got to be pretty much everybody now, I think. But except Dave Bluntz. Dave Bluntz, hopefully he lives long. I think he's in the hospital again. I'm not sure how they're keeping him alive at this point. But yeah, Kid Cudi. They have a Kids See Ghosts, actually, great album that they put out. They're were longtime collaborators, both from The Shy as well. I have to drop a little rap knowledge. All right, so you don't know. You're undecided on them putting Ye in jail. What else? Any other case? Any other case you're looking at?
There's always the Blake Lively stuff.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. Now, talk about that. That's the last thing we talked about.
Yeah, so, the big news has been that apparently, did you hear that Blake Lively threatened Taylor Swift So she had
on your
her. This
timeline.
is something that came out through in some of the legal documents actually this last week. Apparently, Blake Lively had her law firm contact Taylor Swift's law firm and threatened Taylor Swift that unless Taylor Swift spoke out publicly for Blake Lively, and I guess for their friendship or whatever, that Blake Lively was going to release a bunch of personal texts between her and Taylor Swift that I guess she thought would make Taylor look bad. I don't know. Now, this sounds far-fetched and crazy, but apparently there is communication, documented communication between Blake Lively and Taylor Swift's lawyers, where Taylor Swift's lawyers are saying, that's extortion, or that's blackmail, no thank you, and all of that. This has now come out in court, in some court filings in the last week or so. So Taylor Swift and Blake Lively, their friendship is totally no more. And it looks like Blake Lively has just been like crazy aggressive, like has lost her fucking mind over the last few months with all of this.
Going after Queen Taylor, Queen of the Kansas City Chiefs, for one. I think that's a big mistake. I don't. First off, she's a whole lot richer. Although Blake Lively and Reynolds together got a lot of money, but Taylor Swift's got some serious cashola and it ain't ever gonna stop. And she also has, like, you talk about a rabid fan base. It's like crazed. So that wouldn't be the one I would want to fuck with, honestly, if I was her. But I saw that on your timeline and I was like, can this even be? Like, what? It is almost, it's like startling. Like, wait.
Crazy. Let me ask you about something, actually. Okay. What do you think about Bill Belichick and his gal? You have an opinion on that whole situation?
I love it. He's what, 75? She's 24. Like,
I think.
Is he 77? How old is old Bill? What did somebody call him? Bill Bonachik? Bill Bona young bitch. What's the hate about it? He's 73.
No, I don't have it. Well, okay. I think the only concern is that it seems like apparently she was kind of running the show, and they did. He was doing that interview.
She could run my show. Have you seen her? Like, I mean, what the fuck? Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, I saw that though. I did see the.
I don't know though. I'm on your side. It's like, let the guy have his fun, let the lady have her fun. She's 24, 25, right? Like, we're not talking about youngin. So
she's perfectly legal. She is very attractive, although he maybe could even get a little hotter than that. But I don't know. She's hot though. There's no doubt about that. I'm reading here. Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick's ex got into argument at Nantucket event last year. I didn't see that until just now.
Is that a news story? I wasn't aware of that either.
His ex-girlfriend confronted
him wearing that shirt that was torn in that interview. What's the deal with that?
Oh, he always wears like raggedy type shit.
Why would he do that? To show that he just doesn't give a fuck?
Yeah, that's why. That he doesn't give a fuck about the media. He always wears like some cut off fucking sweatshirt. He's really.
Oh, here it is. No, you're right, dude. I'm sorry to interrupt. It says Bill Belichick's. I'm looking at the post. Bill Belichick's ex-girlfriend Linda Holiday, who's also very attractive but much older.
Yes.
It says she got into heated confrontation with Jordan Hudson. Okay, let's see what it's about. It says. Linda Holiday confronted Jordan Hudson on the dance floor after asking the organizers of the shindig to remove her from the gathering. According to, it says December 2024 incident report obtained by the outlet, Holiday was irked by Hudson's presence at the event and asked for her removal from the premises. So, Holiday dated Bill Belichick for 16 years. It's got to be frustrating when you hang on with a guy for 16 years and then he dumps you for the youngin'. I'm not going to say that wouldn't annoy me.
Well, it would annoy every single woman and has since the beginning of time. But I mean, I don't know. Lock it down or don't. I mean, I guess that's the male point of view, but like.
No, look, I think that everybody's entitled to get the best that they can get. And so if from Bill Belichick's perspective, a young hot body, and who knows, maybe she's a sharp gal. I know she's into sports.
I think she is.
She was a sports major in college. I mean, look, she's
yes.
kind of a tomboy. She had this family lobster business, and she'd go out on the boats and stuff. So look, maybe there's more to her than just the hot young thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know if he has kids with the other girlfriend. Does he?
Not the other girlfriend, but he's got pre-existing kids who apparently are hostile to her. But of course, they don't want. Of course,
they're hostile because she's younger than her. Yeah, exactly. And they're looking at losing about fucking $75 million. Yeah. I'm all for it. I saw her she was at the UNC basketball game, and she was dressed like Zoomer style, basically. And he's 70-something years old, and he's walking with this hot young thing on his arm, and it's just like, I mean, balling. Like, what can I say, right? Like, and she's got the the look where the jacket.
In one of those pictures.
Yeah, you seen that? Yeah, and but at the basketball game, she's got it where you know how you wear a jacket like kind of sexily, I guess, if you're a female, with it like hanging off your shoulders a little bit. Yeah. And it's hanging down a little bit off your back, and she's walking around with Bill Belichick at the basketball game. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, all for it. Now, will it work out well for him? I've had some younger relationships as well that were quite fun at a certain point and turned into a lot of non-fun things later on. So,
the only thing I'll say about this, though, even is if you look up her facial expression in that interview where she interrupted that interview, she does have the crazy eyes that indicate borderline personality disorder. That's the only thing I'm going to say. I do see the BPD eyes.
She's a firecracker, and you could tell. We're not talking about that. And she just straight up tells the journalist, like, I mean, with no compunction whatsoever.
Got the BPD eyes.
Just like locked in, like, I might whoop your ass right now. Like, it's that type of thing. And so I won't speculate. I bet she's a lot of fun, though. I could imagine those eyes. Those eyes mean something else too.
I said on Twitter. I said based on this photo, these eyes, I have a prediction. I predict great sex in Bill's near future, and I predict a fucking nightmare in his distant future.
That's my opinion exactly. And so, I don't know. We'll see how long he can ride it out, so to speak. But yeah, those eyes told me he's having a lot of fun in certain cases, but it might not always be that way. And speaking from a little bit of experience, although not that big of a gap, geez Louise, that's a full 50 years almost. That's just no fucks given, honestly. He's Bill Belichick. What, 6 Super Bowls, I think, or 5 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
He doesn't care. So I guess that's it. Oh, it's just any updates on the Lively stuff? Like, what's next in that? Like, what are we looking for? How's it looking for?
Still just kind of chugging away at the eventual trial. But that was the big revelation this past week about Taylor Swift. Now, a couple of weeks ago, or like maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, there was a revelation that Blake Lively's team had filed a fake lawsuit. It was a fake, or I say it was a lawsuit, but it was a lawsuit for a fake shell company, and it was basically her attempt to get a hold of some personal communications between Justin Baldoni and his publicist that she'd already apparently gotten access to under the table. So long story short, here's what I'm getting at, is that there have been some shenanigans, some shady legal shenanigans that have been exposed about Blake Lively's team. I actually filed an official complaint with the New York Bar Association.
Really?
I did. Yeah, I did a video on it. People should check it out. But it wasn't too long ago, several weeks ago, I filed an official complaint with the New York Bar Association on Blake Lively's lawyers because they had filed a fake lawsuit for a sham company. It was a shell company that had done no business before, but Blake Lively's team used it to get their hands on some text that they weren't supposed to have their hands on, and they'd already gotten under the tables. The point is, they were doing some shady shit. I filed a complaint. I don't know if anything will come of that. I don't really know what happens when you file a bar association complaint, but I did.
Well, sometimes they pan out, sometimes they don't. These lawyers kind of work together.
But yeah, so on that case, just kind of waiting and see what the next development is. Right now, it's just, how it is with lawsuits. It's just this like hashing out of discovery and then this deadline for this and that. But those are the big revelations so far.
Now, what are you working on? First, I'll promote your channel, tell everybody where they can find you. And I know you'll be covering the Diddy thing till the end. You're covering the Blake Lively thing. The Karen Reed, I don't think you're really involved with that.
The only thing I have to say on Karen Reed is it certainly seems like, and I'm not following the trial, but I see people's tweets and I watched that HBO documentary. It certainly seems like there has been enough reasonable doubt created that I think it's totally legit for her to get off. But I will also say this, the conspiracy that Karen Reed defenders seem to believe in, it sure requires a lot of collaboration from a lot of people. And it just seems to me a little bit of a stretch, the conspiracy theory. But then again, I don't know. People say that about me and some of the stuff that I talk about on my channel. And so maybe I just haven't looked into it enough. But I do think that there's reasonable doubt in that case. So I won't be surprised if there's another mistrial in that one.
Yeah, and she seems to have a lot of public support too, just in the community. And but hasn't there already been a mistrial?
Yeah, there was one. I can't see the state if there's another mistrial.
Oh, they can't try it again.
Two strikes, you're out.
Surely they wouldn't try it again. I don't know. They'll try Diddy again though if he gets a mistrial.
They will a second time. I think they do. They do second rounds, but I think if once you strike out twice,
nah.
Yeah.
But like you said, Diddy's best hope mistrial and then maybe a softer deal that he could take, where it's like, all right, 5 years.
If they offer him, I'd say even if they offer him 10,
I would take a 10.
If I were in his shoes, I'd take a 10, and I would say I'm just going to look at this as a character building exercise. Honestly.
Yeah, take the 10. You're still rich. As long as it's not too much of a fight. He still owns all those masters from Big and like all the Bad Boy records. So it's not like they still stream. Like somebody just sent one in a minute ago. He got paid.
Okay, and I think he'll be okay in prison. I don't think it's going to be like Tory Lanez or Trey Lanez or whatever his name is. I don't even. I know he got stabbed, but
Tory Lane, is that what you're talking about?
The Megan Thee Stallion guy that got stabbed in prison.
Yeah, Tory Lane.
Yeah. So I don't see that happening to.
Well, he ain't as rich as Puff. I mean, Puff's walking around with a security detail, I'm sure, in prison, right? Like, if you can put money on motherfuckers' commissary and on their phone accounts and shit, and he's, worth, I don't know. Yeah. You know. Maybe you don't know how it works, but like if you got that money in jail, you're probably gonna be okay. And he's already gang connected anyway. Rumored to have killed Tupac. A lot of different things out there. So I think he'll be fine. Tell people where they can find you, and thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always a great place to come and just be totally honest. I don't have to worry about people being like, "Oh, you defend rapists." So I'm Colonel Kurtz 99 on all platforms, and check out my work.
Very cool, Colonel Kurtz, live on the Killstream, and enjoy the rest of the month. And I'll talk to you soon. Maybe we'll have you back on next month or close to the conclusion of the
Diddy trial.
Yeah, I was about to say we'll have to have you back, if not right at the conclusion, or right before, or either right after the conclusion or right before the conclusion, because I'm very interested in this case, and you've done a great job covering it. And always a pleasure to talk to the ageless Colonel Kurtz here, live on the Killstream. Thank you, madam.
Sounds good. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this clip by Colonel J. This is the King of Bold here. Remember to like and subscribe. Juice!